Jeremy returned to Newmarket in the summer of 1997 after training successfully in California for 2 years. From his new base at Shalfleet Stables on the Berry Road, Jeremy's increased the quality of his string year by year. It is now among the strongest in Newmarket. Before we reflect on the people and the horses that have made Jeremy's time in Newmarket a decade to remember, what is it about him that has made him so successful?
A very good friend of mine, Jim Ryan, he recommended 2 young trainers to me in his life. First one was Aidan O'Brien, and we were lucky enough to have Aidan's first classic winner. And the second was Jeremy Noseda, and he's also done the job very well. Very dedicated man.
Hard work, application, and great attention to detail.
He gives every horse I could feel in the yard the attention, and that's what it's very rare in trainers.
He certainly knows what he wants, you know, pays a lot of attention to detail as well.
In my opinion, his finest asset is probably his attention to detail. He doesn't miss, I would say, virtually anything, but he certainly doesn't miss much.
He's a very hard worker. He's honest. He's hands-on.
He's the most hands-on trainer I've ever worked for.
He's a positive thinker. He never thinks negative. I don't like being around negative people. He's always positive.
He's got a will to win that I like. I want to win. I like to win. I like working for a winner.
He tells you as it is, and I feel very confident in anything he tells me. There's no grey area. He's honest and to the point, and that's all you can ask for.
He's very accurate with his assessment of a horse, and the great saying of Jeremy's is, the mobile's always here, just ring any time, and he's great to have horses with.
It is teamwork, and I think Jeremy appreciates them all so much.
The team believes in him, that he's the man who knows what he's doing.
I think the governance quite good. I think he's exceptional, but I also think he's got an exceptional team with him. I think it's the same level of attention to detail and dedication that Jeremy has. They share the same traits.
There is stability here. I mean, people tend to come here and stay, so there is that tight-knit community feel to it as well.
There's some things you can't learn, and he's got something that you can't learn.
He's just very good at what he does, I believe, you know, and that's why I've been with him all these years. I like Jeremy as a person, and I also happen to think he's a damn good trainer, and hopefully we can have horses together for a long time.
Well, he's a great horseman. He's also always very well turned out. They know their job, and he's a good judge as well. He's only got one problem, Jeremy. He's a Tottenham supporter. I'm an Arsenal supporter, so we clash there. That's the only thing we clash on.
In that first season in 1998, the yard got off to the perfect start.
Our first runner was a winner, Nautical Warning, which was pretty much an aim. I decided that it was important to try and get off on the right note, and I can remember it was a relief that day that he got the ball rolling. I think he got up and won a neck. It was a good start, and I was happy with that.
Nautical Warning, very game in front from Mr. Cut. Giotto Dancer a bit cramped for room. Nautical Warning, Mr. Cut lunging close home. Nautical Warning got home in front.
When I came back from my time working in Newmarket for John Gosden, and then during my time at Godolphin, I'd met a lot of lads, knew a lot of people. So when I returned here, I was actually surprised at the number of people who came to me asking to come and work for me. And then there was a few key important lads at that time, David Bradley and John Davis. As soon as they heard that I came back, they came to work for me, and they're still with me now, and I'd count them as sort of foundation members of what we created here. At that time, we kicked away with about 30 horses, of which, if I remember rightly, sort of somewhere 23, 24 of them were 2-year-olds. You know, and of course, in the first year, we were lucky enough for Wannabe Grand to be around, who sort of really, she flew the flag for the stable for that season. The late Benny Schmidt-Bodner was my largest single owner, and he had a chat with Bruce McAllister, and the filly wasn't sold at Newmarket sales, and on Benny's recommendation, Bruce sent me this filly. It came at just the right time, and it made the whole of that first season much easier to deal with and more of a success and more of an enjoyment to get us up and running at that level. At the time, was extremely confident that she was going to go and win. She'd worked fabulously going into the race, and I just felt that if we had a little bit of luck in running, that she would go and win. And I just remember really now always travelling smoothly through the race, quickening up about a furlong and a half out and winning 2.5 lengths with Walter Swinburne riding.
It's Wannabe Grand who strides on by a length and a half at the line. Wannabe Grand wins it.
It was lovely for Walter to be riding that first big winner, because he was riding a lot of work for me at the time, and he helped me, and it was a sort of flashback to my days when I was at Godolphin and he rode Lantara to win the Derby, so it was good to have Walter on board as well.
Obviously Jeremy's biggest victory at the time, and it gave me a great deal of pleasure because he'd supported me, and then obviously our partnership with Lantara, and it was a great day.
Cheveley Park, it was a little bit strange because it wasn't our intention to go to the Cheveley Park, and then Mick Shannon had a filly. She beat us in the Lowther, and we went and ran in the Moy Glare, and our filly didn't act on the soft ground, and we contemplated finishing the year. We were only thinking about the Cheveley Park at that point, and then it was announced that the filly that had beaten us in the Lowther wasn't going to run in the Cheveley Park, and so quickly decided, well, with her out of the way, then we would have a favourite's chance, and called Pat Eddery, and I think she won by a neck from the filly of Peter Makins. Did it well, and she was an incredibly tough filly, and she was tough on that day as well. She trained well going into the 1,000 Guineas, and I was happy she was in great order. And on the day, ran a huge race, got beaten neck by Wince, ran the best race she could have done, but just wasn't quite good enough.
It's Wannabe Grand, it's going to be a race up front, and Valentine Walls and Wince is going to take it up towards the line. The Saturday of 1,000 Guineas goes to Wince, a photo for second place.
I felt we got so close and hadn't gone and done the job, and it was I can only look back, and it really is a very disappointing day. But she ran a great race, and I couldn't have asked for anything more from the filly, but I just personally wanted so much more that day. Calypso Katie was a homebred of Edward St George's and was always a filly that showed a huge amount of talent, even though she was backward at 2. Won her only race at the very end of October as a 2-year-old at Windsor by 10 lengths. I did feel at that point, even before that point, that she was going to be a filly of classic potential for the next season. We were bowled over with offers for people trying to buy her, and I rang Michael Tabor and was lucky enough that he stepped in, and he bought her and kept her in the yard, and she went very close for us the following season. She won the Musadora and then came within a length and a half of winning the Oaks, but sadly in the race she broke a blood vessel, and still to this day I wonder whether if she hadn't broken that blood vessel on the day, whether she still might have been good enough to win. Leggy Lou should have won the Windsor Castle at Royal Ascot. The jockey who rode her that day, without telling me before the race, ended up putting up 3 or 4 pound overweight, and she got beaten a short head and a neck. So that was frustrating. Didn't realise he was going to put up overweight until he actually weighed out. But yes, then she came back. She won a small race at Windsor, and then went to the Princess Margaret and won 4 lengths very impressively.
And Leggy Lewis coming away to win the Princess Margaret in the style of a pretty good filly.
She was a smart, sharp 2-year-old filly. Put up a very smart performance on the day.
Another stakes winner for Edward St George's Lucaine stud was the enigmatic Just James.
Quirky horse. Took us about 4 months to break him in. One of my lads, Oddjob, who's still with me now, used to spend ages actually even trying to get him ridden. Never had any manners, always did things the way he wanted to do them. Got him to win as a 2-year-old, and the following season he actually gave us a couple of very, very special days. Firstly, the performance at Newmarket in the Coral Sprint, which was a good handicap to win, but a most extraordinary performance over 6 furlongs where he was last, most probably 30 lengths behind the leaders with a furlong and a half to run, appearing to have absolutely no chance, and then just flew to get up in the last sort of 25 yards. I think it was one of the most extraordinary performances I've ever seen by a horse.
Gets the head up towards the line now, is far up the band. Josh James has flown on the outside, he got there as well.
Went on to provide us with our first ever Royal Ascot winner, which was, of course, was a special day and owned by Mr. St George. And a little story, it was a funny. He was favourite to win the time-form sprint at York, the William Hill sprint at York, the Saturday before.
Jeremy wanted to run him up at York, and Edward was based in the Bahamas and always came over for Royal Ascot and wanted as many runners as possible at the Royal meeting. And as far as I can remember, there was a sort of horse trade that Jeremy said, we'll run at York, and Edward said, OK, but we'll also run at Ascot. And I think he was fourth at York, where he was favourite, and he then ran at Ascot and won the jersey at 20-1.
A three-way go to the line. Steenberg grabbed by Just James. Steenberg, Just James. Just James has beaten Steenberg.
I was greeted by Mr St George down in the winners' enclosure saying to me, now we know that what you trainers know. He said you should just leave it to owners to make the decision. But the adjectives describing the trainers wasn't extremely polite, but I didn't mind. First Royal Ascot winner, it was a special day. Just James won the Challenge Stakes Group 2, and in doing so he was the last ever group winner ridden by Pat Eddery before his retirement. And once again, Just James, he was an extraordinary horse. He had a huge amount of talent, but it just had to be on the day how he felt to do it in his mind, and that day he decided it was a real going day and he went and did the job.
Also in the St George livery was Sir Albert, a sharp, racy 2-year-old who won the listed sprint at York.
Sir Albert takes over from Bombex in Cumbrian Venture and close to the finish. It's Sir Albert Too Good.
A nice horse to have around, and those meetings, whether they be Royal Ascot, Glorious Goodwood, Newmarket July meeting, York Ebor meeting, it's always lovely to go to them and be represented and to have a winner. They're the meetings that get you excited and you look forward to.
That season, Shalfleet housed a smart 3-year-old filly, owned and bred by Seamus Burns.
Mellow Park, homebred filly. We were hoping that she'd go and get some black type. Luckily enough, she won a little bit by 11 lengths and disappointed a little in the Oaks when she was, I think, second favourite, and then she won the Lancashire Oaks, so she retired a very valuable broodmare to us. So, well, very well pleased. Job well done.